if you're telling me with the 48th overall pick, you're going to get a depth piece at swing tackle who in a year or so, 2, could be your starting tackle, then I am way more okay with it then if he can do both. Because the reasoning behind it is, so you're telling me that a spot where you almost were missing both of your starting tackles at one point in the season because Jake had a high ankle sprain and Caleb tore his knee, they're both over 30, that I would go add a depth piece and a guy that could start and play at either position if needed and possibly be the future at one of them? Totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Totally okay with that.
I agree.
That's why I ask it in that way. If you're, because you need a swing tackle, and I think last year proves that you needed a swing tackle, and you can't. Mr. Reply All is out in Arizona, and you don't know what the future of Storm Norton is, who is supposed to be your swing tackle.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what regardless of whether or not they draft one in the second round, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with swing tackle. And I've told the story before, guys, when Jake Matthews was drafted and when he came to Atlanta, he played right tackle. He played right tackle. They knew he was probably the future at left, and Sam Baker with some of his injuries, they would probably have to move on from. And I think we were in Houston at the time playing a preseason game against the Texans. I'm standing next to Jake. Sam gets injured, grabbing his knee out on the field. Didn't know how bad it was in the moment, but Mike Tice on the headset, who was our offensive line coach, gets news of how bad it is. And he walks down the sideline toward me and Jake, and he looks at Jake and he goes, "Hey, you play left tackle now. Surprise, you're our left tackle." And sure enough, that's how it's been for how many years now? Like since that moment?
12. This will be the 13th season, I think.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's just how quick it can happen. So you can have all the plans in the world for who's going to play right and who's going to develop and who's going to play left and swing. It just sometimes it hits the fan and you have to make adjustments. And that you have to have a guy in that swing tackle role that is at least formidable if he has to play this year.
So before people scream it's not a need, it kind of is a need. It really kind of is, and
it's not until it is. Yeah.
Well, you can't, and I always say you can't cry that we don't have depth, and that we've done nothing to address depth, and then turn around on the other side of your face and say, "Oh, I can't believe that. See that guy's I'm going to play the wasted pick." I mean, what are we doing? Well, you do build depth through different ways, and they have built depth to me in some positions on the front seven, or rebuilt it from departures with these one-year deals we've seen. And so this would be a future starter, or a position you'd look at to become a future starter, that you're also building depth for 2026 and possibly 2027, depending on what happens.
Allie, when you asked the question, I've been trying to rack my brain during this segment of a position that I feel like I would be shocked if they selected.
That's what I was going to ask.
I've got nothing.
It might be easier to ask it that way because it feels like things could swing either way, offense, defense. Is there a position you're confident they will not select?
I would say right now you're not going to pick a safety in the second round.
I'm going to go with kicker.
Yeah, that's pretty quality.
Running back. I don't.
Quarterback.
Running. I think no.
Is this where I'm supposed to say great analysis?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I left the door open for you. I'm going to say no. I think if I'm going to get run out of town for this, if Ty Simpson is sitting there at 48, he won't be. If he's sitting there at 48, I would draft him all day long. I'm telling you, I would. I would draft that.
I think the Falcons would too.
I think that kid is going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. I said
Orlovsky
it. I said it before.
Catching it all over the place.
But here's the thing: Orlovsky criticized him, and then criticized Mendoza and praised him during the season. I told you after it was either right before or after the Georgia game. I said I think Ty Simpson's the best college football quarterback right now. And then he got knocked because he hurt his shoulder, and I think it was a lower body injury.
He got a back injury.
That's what it was.
Yeah, he got a back injury, and then I think he cracked his ribs in the final game.
I thought all along that he was the best college football quarterback. He looks pro ready. He makes all the pro throws, and I'm not talking about deep ball crap. But he can make every throw on the field, and he is something we have not had in a very long time. He can move out of the pocket.
He's so hard to stomach. I mean, look, I like the guy, but can you imagine for this city if you went and selected a quarterback in the second round named Ty Simpson, and you're essentially saying that he's the future of the position?
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying if he's there, it's hard to say he's not the best player available at 48.
Yeah, I don't think I'm with you. I don't think
he won't be there.
He's projected to be a late first-round pick between like 16 and 34.
Yeah. The Jets are gonna draft him. That's what's gonna end up happening. God bless him, because he's living the dream, but it's kind of like the nightmare dream scenario.
You remember, we had this conversation 3 or 4 months ago, and the clip kind of went viral of us talking about it because who were we talking about? Dante Moore. Mm-hmm. Remember when Dante Moore was like, "I'm going back to school." And it started to come in full circle of how bad the quarterback class in this draft could be in that moment. That was a guy who could have gone number 2 overall, and he returned to school because he's obviously making a ton of money. And so you start going down the list of like, okay, well then who's next? And Ty Simpson has become that guy. Heard some great things about Carson Beck's pro day this week. Heard he's got some upside to him, but it just really is a very thin. We said in that clip, Malik Willis would make $50 million. He ended up making 60. And it's just because there are not quarterbacks out there that you feel like are NFL ready.
Do you remember Jeff George?
Yeah.
Does Carson Beck, I'm not saying he's as big of a jerk as Jeff George turned out to be, especially in this city, but does Carson Beck kind of remind you of Jeff George? Big, strong, huge arm, can do everything you need. Like Carson Beck's pretty good with his legs, but he does things, and you're just like, what was that? Why was that a good idea? I mean, the throw that ended the national title game was a bad decision. He makes some bad decisions, and then when he goes up to the press conference, they're like, what happened? He doesn't give the quarterback, I just got to do better. I mean, I don't know. All I can do is throw the football, and if they're not there, I don't know what to tell you. They got to make and it's like, dude.
I think it's just just how he looks. I think it's just how he looks.
The words that come out of his mouth.
I think it's the look on his face most of the time where you're like, dude.
Are you saying Carson Beck has an RBF?
But hold on.
Yes.
But the words the words that come out of his mouth back up that it's more than just RBF is what I'm saying.